Coach, obviously, Coach Butler was a real good recruiter. That's what he's known a lot for. How big of an impact, did that have on that?
It's going to be a huge impact. I mean, very connected all over the Midwest, the state of Texas, which we have to recruit. And I always say this: we have a small population in this state, and we've gotten some very good players out of Texas. I think it's going to help us get back into Missouri a little more, St. Louis area, Illinois. Obviously the Midwest, and we've done pretty well out west. I've got some good connections. So does Coach Jorn out there, and it was really amazing the text messages that I was getting from players that in the 14 class that I can't mention their names yet that had committed here, and even guys that are coming in. Example, Tacalini, how excited they were that we hired Tony, because Tony was on those guys, and they wanted to come here, but Tony made it hard on him because he's very personable, and he builds a good relationship with the recruits and their parents, and I think it's going to be a good fit here. And Tony felt like that he wanted to have more hands-on with the offense, and he got to do it his first year at TCU. Then they had another coach, one of their coaches leave, went to I think West Virginia. They brought another guy, and kind of got split up. And he wants to be more involved with. We're not calling it hitting; it's more about scoring runs. It's about offense, and we're on the same page there as far as maybe drawing walks, getting hit by pitches, just maybe working more on a little bit manufacturing, putting together teams that can score runs. And you saw the way the teams that were in the series at the end with Mississippi State and UCLA, the teams are going to hit line drives and ground balls and figure out a way to win.
Was he someone that you were aware of? Or
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've been watching Tony for a long time. I remember seeing him out 5, 6, 7 years ago. Every time I go somewhere, he's there. I'm like, man, this guy's incredible. And he was working at Missouri, and I just knew that if he kept up the pace that he was, on at that time in his young coaching career, that he was going to be a guy that was going to be in demand as an assistant coach, just because of his recruiting connections. And you learn how to evaluate, and you're out there sweating. And I noticed one thing about him. He wasn't out there just messing around talking to everybody. He was working. He was bearing down. I mean, it's hard when it's 92 degrees and you're sweating and you really don't move for 6, 7 hours, and you're making notes on everybody. And then you have to go back to the hotel and you have to break it down again and stay organized because you got to go out and do it again the next day. And it's tough. Recruiting is really hard at this level, as it is for everybody. But I just feel like he's very organized in that sense, very meticulous. We're on the same page on a lot of things as far as recruiting certain types of players, more athletic players, guys that can run, maybe play two positions. It's a good fit. I really believe it's a good fit.
How much interest was there in the job? I imagine
there was a
quite
bunch
bit.
of interest in the job. I mean, I had to slow people down. I think, when Coach Butler was announced at Wichita State, it was supposed to come out on a Sunday, and it was found out on a Saturday, and my phone started blowing up Saturday night. I think he was up there, and they were supposed to make an official announcement, say at 2:00 on a Sunday. Well, it didn't make it there. Somebody had released it up there, and I started getting text messages and emails, and I'm talking from head coaches. And I remember just sitting out on my back porch going, man, this is going to be crazy. And I had already, obviously as a head coach, part of our job is to kind of have a short list in our mind because it's going to happen one day. And, Todd did a tremendous job here. He was here for 8 years. And when he took the job, I felt bad. He came from Alabama. I know Jim Wells. I mean, that's the hard part of it. But I'd known Todd, I'd seen him out working. He was the first guy that I got a hold of. If he didn't take the job, it was going to be wide open. But we thought Todd would be here 5 years. He wanted to be a head coach in the worst way. And it was time for Todd to go be a head coach. He was ready. Mentally he was ready. He'd been around it. And we've had conversations about that since he took the job. And he was real humble, and I think he thanked me and our staff for getting him ready. And he even said, I probably wasn't ready when I got there, but I am now. And he learned a lot, did a great job. But at the same time, I knew it was going to happen. And when it happened, there were 3 or 4 guys that I was really interested in, and I was going to try to bring in a couple, 3 guys, talk to them, make a decision. Because I didn't have one guy that I just knew like Todd. And Tony was one of the 3. There was another guy from Mississippi that I talked to, and he got him a good raise out of the deal, and good for him. Who else? That was about it. Once Tony got here and I talked with him, I knew that if he wanted it, that it would be his because we were on the same page and just the region we're in, and he's very familiar with it. And like I said, when people found out that we were on him, scouts, other coaches, summer league coaches, it was all very positive. Hey, if you get him, that'd be great, and that was good.
You mentioned the title, and it seems like it's kind of like the bats and everything have made calling somebody a hitting coach almost a no-no.
Yeah, I don't think you should call anybody, hey, this guy's our hitting coach, because really it's like in anything else. If you get guys that are, you can make them better, you can help them become better. They have to have some skills. Our thing is, like I said, we just need to surround them. We need to figure out how to score runs, and it's about an approach probably as much as anything. Obviously, you're going to have a Zach Cox come through your program once every 10 years, or a guy like Brett Eibner, who had a great junior year and hits 22 home runs with the last model that you could hit 22 home runs with unless you're a Superman like the kid out at San Diego. It depends on what kind of park you play in. Is it big? Is it small? Which way is the wind blow? There's a lot of factors. So, the key is don't complain about where you're at. Just go figure out how to win where you're at. If the wind blowing in, hit the ball on the ground, get hit by a pitch, find a way to beat somebody. The other team's got the same factors in their face. And when you're on the road and you're playing when the wind blows out, that's funsy, but you get people on and then hit a 3-run homer, and you still got to be able to bunt and get on base and get to the bullpen. I mean, if you can get starters up to 100 pitches after 4 or 5 innings, you're getting to that bullpen, and there's a reason guys are in the bullpen. They're probably not as good as the starters in most cases. And, that's going to be our job, is to, as a staff, with Tony leading the charge offensively, but with us all helping him and supporting, the whole the way we're going to approach things, that's what we need. We all need to be on the same page. And sometimes maybe we weren't the last 3 years. I think it was frustrating when the bats changed and you're still trying to hit the ball out of the park, and you've got to make adjustments. And that's in anything, in life, in marriage. You got to make adjustments. It's not going to work. So, that's where we're at right now. And I think it was perfect timing. I mean, I told Todd during the year, I said, hey, man, you're going to get a job the next couple of years. It needs to be this year, because next year I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be with Team USA for 6 weeks, and I would really like it to be under control and have our recruiting in great shape where I can leave here and have peace of mind. And it couldn't have worked out any better. And I'm really happy for Todd, really happy for Brian. So happy that Todd gave Brian that opportunity. And I've had many talks with Brian over the last 2 or 3 years about the situation when Todd leaves, because Brian's a great coach. He just needs recruiting experience, and this program needed somebody that was a little bit more experienced. And maybe the next time Brian will be the guy. But it's good. It's going good right now.
Have you figured out who's going to replace Brian yet? Or?
Working on it. Have a guy in today. I've got 6 or 7 other guys. I want it to be someone who has a lot of experience coaching coaching catchers, and then we'll assist with hitting. And everyone that I'm looking at, that's their resume. Anywhere from 25 years old to 30, 32 years old, that are former catchers, have coached catchers at different levels, have played professional baseball, and we'll get the right guy, and then we'll go from there.
Tony said he recalled you yelling at him one time. He was leaning into pitches trying to get on base. Do you recall this?
Well, back then I called it cheating. Now I call it trying to win. So, yeah, I mean, you got to do it. Hey, Tony will tell you when you can't hit, you got to find a way to get on base, right? But, it's we had some heated battles with Missouri when I was at Nebraska. We were kind of on the same plane and same region, and we recruited the same kids, and we were trying to get it going there. And I think Missouri actually got the best of us early. We beat everybody else. We had a little trouble with Missouri. We couldn't figure it out, and they played us tough.
It looks like you're only losing 2 signees, I guess. How do you feel about that?
Well, so far so good. Stone's the one. I'd really like to keep Stone, and man, he's getting his apartment lined up. He's done all of his paperwork here, and I'm talking to him, and I don't think the Rockies are going to give him enough money for him to skip his junior year. And I mean, that's a good thing, because I'd like to have that one more experienced pitcher, whether he ends up being a conference starter or a bullpen middle guy. We feel good about Beeks and Oliver and Killian, hopefully Poche, and Poche supposedly pitching better, velocity's coming on, and So we do have some guys. We feel like we got 3 or 4 of our best hitters back. We got to fill in with some guys, but feel good about keeping some of those guys. And we knew kind of who we were going to get and who we weren't. So far, so good.
Benintendi, I hope I'm saying his name right. He got National Player of the Year. I know his stats were off the charts. What
Yeah.
you think about that, and then the fact, even though he was a 30th round, I
Right.
think it was the Reds that picked him.
Yeah, I mean he's a very good student, and if he's kind of one of those guys. If talking to the scouts up there, you say he's a 6'6" or 6'7", 6'8", 60 guy. He can run a little bit, but if he was 6'5" or 6'4", he wouldn't probably made it to school. If he was a flyer, he's a good hitter. He's not a big kid. He's 5'10", 160, 165. I'd like him to hit leadoff. Maybe this year, next year. Maybe he's good enough where he can hit 3-0. Kind of depends on who we bring in. But I don't want to put too much pressure on him coming in, playing in a little smaller competition up there. He's not like he's at the biggest high school, but he just all he did for 4 years up there was get hits. So I think he's got a little knack for hitting. He's played with the Midland Redskins in summer ball. Even as a 16-year-old, he was playing on a team full of 17 and 18-year-olds, and he's hitting in the top of the order and holding his own. And he's a smart kid, so I think he could come in right away and make an impact. I'm not going to give it to him, obviously. He's going to have to earn it with his teammates, but I feel like that he's one of the true freshmen that have a chance to be right in the middle of it.
Who does he remind you of?
Who's that, Benintendi? Really more of some former players that we've had. I guess he reminds us a lot of the people in that region as the center fielder at Kentucky. Is that how do you pronounce his name? What's his name? Cousineau. Yeah, I mean that's what we've heard, and I hope he is. Cousineau as a freshman was incredible. Didn't have a great sophomore year. Sometimes that happens. We've seen that happen a lot, but really good player, left-handed hitter, Midwest guy. He'll hold his own because he's a confident kid. He was he played basketball. He could really shoot, point guard on the basketball team. But I'm just hoping that when he comes in that he's a little bit more advanced as far as bunting for hits and knows the strike zone, because these are little things you don't know. You just go watch a few games because we can only see him so much, and you see what you see. We don't know if he's really has trouble with a lot of off speed, and we're going to have to teach him a lot of things.
It's only been a month or so. How's Wise doing in his recovery?
He's doing good. As a matter of fact, you might be able to run into him today. He's helping work a camp yesterday and a little pitching camp today. And he says he's a little bit ahead of schedule so far. He spent last week in Houston with his family, and he's back. And I think he's, when that happens to you in your draft year, you're really disappointed and upset. And I think he's over the hump now. Now he realizes, hey, this is going to be, my story, and it's going to have to go through his senior year and him recovering. And I hope that he has a great senior year. He'll have to lead early with just maybe verbally more, helping guys through the fall as he rehabs and help us get better. And then, maybe he'll be the guy that picks us up throughout the year. And I told him this fall, I said, I'll play you at first base. You don't have to throw. We'll stick you on the field if they say it's okay. And, when he can start swinging the bat, we'll let him. I don't know if he's going to be to that point, though. But once he is, we'll go full blast with him.
Did Ramirez find a school, or is he?
Yeah, I think he's going to one of the Texas junior colleges, Grayson maybe, Weatherford. I don't know. Good kid, but he wants to play every day, and I don't blame him. Maybe it's his third year. We redshirted him in the first year, and I think it's a good for him and his family.
How's Baxendale?
He's coming along. He's throwing pretty good. He's not 100%, but I think by the time give him another 2 months, fall ball, he'll be just about there. And I made the comment earlier talking about him. I saw him as a junior in high school throw the ball extremely well, and then I didn't see him his whole senior year while we were playing. He's committed to us, and I remember talking to the coaches last year in September, and my comment to them was, well, I remember him having a lot better arm than that. Well, at the time, he already had it was torn. He heard it. He actually told me he heard it pitching late in his junior year. He knew exactly when he did it. And it probably just tore it a little bit, and then it slowly finished it off. But he's doing fine. I think he's excited that he has a chance to come in and take that job right away, and then him and Jake will battle it out. And Jake's a good teammate. He wants to play, but he's really helped Blake a lot.
With Walker, whoever you hire to replace him, is that going to be your third base coach, you think? Or?
No, I mean, I don't know who's going to coach third. I mean, it could be. I don't know. I mean, we're still discussing that. Tony might coach third, and could be the volunteer. It could be me. I don't know. We'll just kind of see who's comfortable doing what. And, if a guy that's working with the hitters wants to stay in the dugout and talk to hitters on the way up to the plate or when they come back, I'll go out there. If I'm not in love with the other guy out there. So we'll see. I think, it's very important, but I think what's really important is making sure that we have the right mindset when we step in the batter's box.